Good morning. It's time to make some really good dishes today. I'm Chef Julia Dunaway, and today I'm going to be making some savory steel cut oats, and then I'm going to switch gears and make some holiday oatmeal cookies. I know that sounds strange in, let's see, what is it? March, holiday oatmeal cookies, but it could be for any holiday. Coming up, what's coming up? Easter, is that a holiday? So we can make them for any special occasion or for every day. I just called them holiday oatmeal cookies because I made them during the November, December time frame, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and that's how the name got there. But it doesn't matter when you make them. But we're going to start with our savory steel cut oats. Let's see, I'm going to enable the comments. Okay, Allison Gordon, good morning. Can you hear me okay? Let me know. I tested my sound, but you never know. Sometimes I test it and it still doesn't work. So give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. And I have all the ingredients here that are going to go into our steel cut oatmeal. One thing, savory steel cut oats is not that popular. A lot of people have never tried it. Excuse me. A lot of people have never even tried it. When I tell them I like savory steel cut oats, they don't know. Okay, sound is good. They don't know what I'm talking about. And it's really just steel cut oats, which looks like this. You can get them. I get these from Homestead Grist Mill in Texas because they're freshly milled and they taste really good. But you can get any brand of steel cut oats. They sell them in the bulk section of all the supermarkets. Hi, Lydia, Leanne, Doran, Irene, Patricia, Claudia. Good to see all these familiar names. So anyway, you can get steel cut oats anywhere, really. They're very easy to find. And really, we're making them savory because that's just another way to prepare them. You want to get some vegetables in early in the day. You don't have to put greens in them, but you can. I'm going to turn my stove on so we can get this started. I think I'll use this burner because it's quicker. It's the bigger burner. Let me turn this a little bit so you can see better. So I've got it's just like I think it's a 3 or 4 quart pot here. And we're just going to use a regular pot. We're not going to use any special skillet or anything. Christy Schubert North, hi from New Mexico. Now, she's got the food that I like there in New Mexico. That New Mexico food is great. So what are we going to put in our steel cut oats? First, we're going to start with some onion. I'm going to put these greens to the side. I don't really need them. So I have my chef coat on because I'm going to appear on Dr. Shobha's show at 11:15 Central Time. And I posted the link on my Chef Julia Facebook page. So if you want to see me on her show, feel free to watch. It's the topic is how to eat on the go. So basically about what to do when you're away from home. So if you want to hear about that, and away from home meaning going to buy groceries. To me, going away from home is everything. This is about 1/4 of a cup of sweet yellow onions. Those are my favorite kind of onions. Not everybody's crazy about those. Let me get my compost bowl over here. So I collect all the compost, all the scraps, and then I put them in my compost bin later. And then I'm just going to use my handy dandy tool. This is just like a bench knife, a pastry type tool. And I'm going to put it in my pan. And you hear it sizzling. That's what you want to hear. Here, let me get my thing out of the way here. Because that means the pan is hot. Okay, Carrie, good morning. Are the recipes in your cookie ebook the same cookies as the ones from your cookie class? That's a good question, Carrie. A lot of them are very much the same, but I added a few new ones. So, there's 20, I think there's 20 recipes in the new cookie ebook, and there were 12 recipes in my class. So yeah, there's a few new ones. They're not all new. And, so don't feel like if you took my class, do you need the ebook? The thing is, it's written in a different format, and it may be easier to, look at everything. It's not written in terms of a cooking class, so it's in color. It has really pretty photos. it is different. Where's my book at? Here it is. You get to see a picture of the cookie. The recipe is easier to see. And there's 30, no, 28 recipes. So 28 recipes instead of the 12 that were in the class. So I think you get your money's worth. To me, it was different. Okay, so we have our onions in here. I got my dandy blend. Oh, and by the way, let me go ahead and post this now while I'm thinking about it. The bundle link was not working yesterday from the afternoon until pretty late in the evening. So I had people messaging me and they were saying, "Well, I tried to get the bundle from your link and it didn't work." So everybody was worried about that. The fact that nobody could get it. We were all telling people, "Go to this link and get the bundle." Um, and so, hi, Gail from Southern California. And so everybody was like, "Oh, we tried to get it, but we couldn't get it. The website's not working." So it was kind of alarming, but it got fixed. So it's working now. So you can get the bundle if you want it. And what is the bundle? It's about 83 products, content. Um, Patricia said, "I took the cookie class, but I like the format of the new ebook, so I'm going to be happy to get it." Thank you. Yeah, I think you'll really like it. I like it. I mean, for me, it's really good to have all my cookies organized in a way where I can find them all easily, because before they were all scattered around in all these different classes. And then I would say, "Okay, I know I made this kind of cookie, but where is that recipe?" And then I'd have to search on my computer and all that. So yeah. Can you post your Amazon store site? Um, I can't post it right now because I'd have to leave to get to the store, but just go to Amazon or just go to Google and put Chef Julia Amazon store and it will come up. Oh, these are shiitake mushrooms. And I've just taken the stem off and I'm slicing them up and I'm going to chop them. You can use cremini mushrooms, white mushrooms, any kind of mushrooms you like. But I'm using shiitake just because I like a change once in a while. And I'm going to add everything to this one pot. So this is very easy. I'm going to turn the stove up a little bit, and I'm going to add a little bit of water here in a minute, or some of my broth. I have my veggie broth ready to use in the oats, so I can add some of that to my pot. Here it sizzled. I've let my pot get a little hot. So, I had to heat up a little high. So, that's okay. But if you get it up too high, you'll start browning everything, and we don't want to get it too brown. Okay, then it'll have a burnt taste. And then jalapeno pepper. Now, some of you will say, "Now, I don't want, who's going to eat jalapeno peppers in the morning?" But, I like them. I like them any time of the day. So I'm going to go ahead and put, probably not the whole one. I'll just put half a jalapeno pepper in there. I'll save the other half to put on my salad. Doran said we were drinking herbal tea last night. Can you tell us more information about the herbal tea? Yeah, that was just called wild sweet orange tea, and it's a very common. You can buy those at Walmart or anywhere. It's from that. Here, let me go get the box and get this in the pan. Yeah, I drink all kinds of tea, but I will get it. So, I like to brew tea from tea leaves, but sometimes when you're busy, it doesn't always work. Last night I was drinking this wild sweet orange tea from Tazo, which I love. It's really good. It has a kind of a citrusy taste. And then a lot of times I have like a little box of tea bags, and I have honey chai turmeric tea. It doesn't have honey in it. It has some kind of honey flavor. And then stash golden turmeric chai tea, which is delicious, and then turmeric and ginger tea. And these are by different companies. So I just pick them up like, when I'm in Whole Foods or somewhere, I'll say, "Oh, let me try that tea." I like the turmeric flavored teas a lot. And they're all herbal. None of them have caffeine. So any time of the day that I want a hot beverage, I just grab a tea bag. Here's my vegetables. See how they've cooked down? They're not cooked that soft. We just want to cook them a little because we're going to put some stuff in there. We're going to be putting liquid in there, so they're going to come to a boil and simmer. So they're going to get cooked more. But I like to simmer them a little bit, saute them a little bit. Then I'm going to use one garlic clove. Now I got this idea from Ann Esselstyn because I would watch all their conferences and their cooking events, during COVID and when everybody was watching classes online. So I would watch her, and this is her daily breakfast. And so she would always make it on their different shows. My garlic is not wanting to peel. There it goes. So she would make it on her different shows with Jane. And one thing that I do differently is she just puts the vegetables in raw, in with the liquid and the oats. And she doesn't saute them or cook them any before. And I kind of like it better to soften them up a little bit before. I think it just tastes better to me. So that's why I put them in first. They develop a little flavor. Okay, so I just chopped up my garlic. Oh, goodness. I sneezed into my sleeve. That way it doesn't get on anything. Okay. Gail, is this considered savory oatmeal? Yes, this is savory oatmeal. It's got garlic, onions, peppers, shiitake mushrooms, and it's so, so good. You would be amazed at the flavors developed from garlic and onions and peppers and mushrooms. So that's the base of it. And then we can also put in, I'm not even looking at my recipe, we can put in some tomatoes. We'll cut those up and put them in a minute. But with the tomatoes, normally what I would do is I would have like a half of a Roma tomato or just a red tomato. Kim says, I like Ann Esselstyn's savory oats. It's so good. Good. Well, you'll love mine then too. It's similar, not exactly the same, but it's my favorite savory oat breakfast. And I do eat this a lot. It makes two or three servings, depending on how much you like to eat. I think I make mine into three because I eat a big bowl of greens and I have a smoothie with my breakfast. So, I don't eat as much as maybe somebody who doesn't have two other big things, because by the time I have my smoothie and then I have the bowl of greens, because I eat this many greens. This is a pound of greens. I eat this in 2 days. And it's a gigantic mountain of greens. And so they're kind of filling when you eat those in the morning. But they keep you from eating a lot of other stuff. So that's good. So we're going to add our still cut oats. And it's half a cup. Got a half a cup measuring cup right over here. And I like to get organic ones if I get them from a grocery store. So, I just try to get organic as much as possible. We put our half cup of still cut oats in there. And again, if you're curious about where I get mine, it's Grist Mill, Homestead Grist Mill. And it's near Waco, Texas. And they have really good stuff there. Then we're going to add 2.5 cups of vegetable broth. I measured this out already. We used a little bit to saute, so there's not quite 2.5 cups, so I'll put a little bit more in to make up for what I used. Because what I used to saute the vegetables probably got evaporated. So I'm going to turn the stove up and bring this to a simmer or boil and then simmer it. And I'm going to put in my half of a tomato, which these are cherry tomatoes, so the equivalent of about half of a tomato. They were, like 6 or 7 cherry tomatoes. And then what did I use for my vegetable broth? Carrie says, I'm ordering the bundle using your link after your demo. I'm most excited about your recipes. Oh, thank you, Carrie. There's a lot of really good recipes in the bundle. So, I've just been demonstrating mine because I like my own recipes and I think people would enjoy them. But I'm also going to demonstrate a couple of other people's recipes as the week goes on, not just my own. But I had so many this year that I wanted to share And not everybody has seen my recipes, so I figured I'll just cook mine. Somebody else can cook mine if they want, and I might cook theirs. But um, there's a learning curve to cooking other people's recipes. And I've had the experience in the past where I've cooked other people's recipes and they didn't turn out very good. And then I felt kind of bad because I told somebody I was cooking this recipe and it didn't come out very good. And then I was like, oh, did I do something wrong? But I didn't really have time to test it. So now I think, oh, I really need to test the recipe a couple times to make sure I'm making it properly before I do it live. Because what if I do it live and it doesn't turn out? So I won't be making a lot of other people's recipes, but I'll be making a few. So my vegetable broth is better than bouillon vegetable base. It is high in sodium. It has 700 milligrams for a teaspoon. So what I do is I put a half a teaspoon in for 2.5 cups of water. So that way it has some sodium, but not a huge amount. When you divide it 3 times, you end up with 350 milligrams of sodium divided by 3. So it's a little over 100. To me, that is acceptable. So don't overdo it. This bouillon base is very salty. Don't use very much of it if you use it. Kim says, made your chili yesterday for lunches this week. Tastes really good. Great. I'm making the chili on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock. I'll be making the chili recipe. Okay, so then we're going to use some tamari. And we're just going to use a teaspoon of reduced sodium tamari. And, this is something that I keep all the time, and I use it sparingly. I don't use huge amounts of tamari because, again, it's very salty. But I find that a little bit goes a long way. So this is a teaspoon. And don't get carried away with stuff, because I know I've watched people put soy sauce and tamari in their recipes. And I'm shocked because they'll have like a recipe for sauce and it will have half a cup of soy sauce to marinate something. And I'm looking at that going, oh, no, no, no. Doran says, I like your homemade vegetable broth. And when I don't have time to make bona fide vegetable broth. Karen, I am going to put the links to the miso and the dried miso and the nooch on my page. I have been super, super busy, but I have it written down, and it already might be on there in the bundle. If you look on the bundle idea list, I think those 2 are already on there. So we're going to add Fresh Jack's tofu scramble blend because I ran out of turmeric. And then that's in place of the nutritional yeast because this has a little turmeric in it. There is a low sodium better than bouillon. It's good. I'm going to look for that. I haven't seen that before. I probably just seen it and didn't notice it. Okay, so my still cut oats are coming to a boil. So they've come to a boil. Now I need to turn them down as soon as I add my other stuff. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of this Fresh Jack's tofu scramble. And all this is nutritional yeast with a little turmeric and a couple other things. So this company, Fresh Jack's, is from Jacksonville, Florida, I believe. And I have a whole bunch of their spices that I ordered over the years. And I try to use them when I can because they're good and I have them. So why not use them? But all you have to have is nutritional yeast. You don't have to have that. Then I think I think that's it. So we're going to turn this down. It's really simmering. You can kind of see it's come to a rolling boil. And then I'm going to turn it down to simmer. And the trick here, and this is something that I actually learned this from Ann Esselstyn, that I never really thought about because I wasn't a big fan of still cut oats before, of savory still cut oats. But what she said was, to, hold on, to only cook them for 10 minutes. Okay, so once you put them on simmer, only cook them for 10 minutes. And then they're kind of al dente, meaning, a little bit chewy. Christy says, I love the Fresh Jack seasonings too. Great. Marilyn says, I use Sanjay 50% less sodium, but it's hard to find. Yeah, that's true sometimes. I found I really like the Well Your World powder vegetable broth. That's pretty good, Gail. I'll have to look for that. They used Well Your World seasonings on the cruise, and some of them were pretty good. Okay, so we got that ready. We got that going. It's not ready. And then the garnish on top of the steel cut oats. And you don't have to garnish your steel cut oats. I have to always be extra. I think that's what my daughter-in-law calls me. She, one time, before this was a popular term, I heard her say, "You're so extra." I think it was kind of like an insult, kind of. Because, sometimes if you're a little bit of a type A person and you overdo things, like overachiever kind of person, which I've been guilty of doing too much of a good thing, then people don't like it because they're thinking, excuse me, they're thinking, I can't keep up with you if you're going to do all this extra stuff. And I think that was kind of sometimes what I would do. So I'm trying to be less extra these days. Okay, let's see if there's any questions. No, same thing. And I am going to put my cutting board aside. And when those are ready, we'll garnish them with the scallions. But for now, I'm going to start working on the cookies while those are cooking. So we'll be multitasking, which I have no trouble doing. We're going to switch gears and we're going to make holiday oatmeal cookies. And they are so good. These are some of my most popular cookies, and people will tell me all the time that they made them for somebody as a gift or for the family, and they really like them a lot. And they can't keep them around because everybody loves them. And there's really simple ingredients in this. We use I've already seen that. There's simple ingredients in here: oats, almond flour, just a little bit of coconut, and the typical almond butter, date syrup, maple syrup. So it's a very simple recipe. However, well, I guess I do need to cut something. I'm going to cut my chocolate chips. So this time I'm using chocolate chips instead of dried fruit because I've been using a lot of dried fruit. Let me get a different cutting board though. I don't think we want to have my chocolate chips tasting like onions. That might be a little off-putting. So we'll get a fresh cutting board and I will clean my knife off. So we're doing good on time. I have to be mindful of the time because at 11:15 my time, I'm going to be on Dr. Shobha's show, and she has a company called, I printed out her ebook. I liked it so much, Gifts of Health. And so I put the link to her show on my Facebook page. It's on YouTube. But in case you don't remember, just remember her company is called Gift of Health. And at 11:15, I'll be on her show for about 30 minutes talking about meal planning, eating on the go. But if this book is in the bundle, and I printed it out for my son because he has high blood pressure, my younger son. Remember, my older son died from hypertensive cardiac disease. Well, now my younger son, who's only 39, his blood pressure is high. He's not on medication, and he doesn't really know much about blood pressure regulation. So I'm going to give him this as a gift. And I've been talking to him a lot about, cardio, reducing salt, and reducing stress, sleeping more at night, and all the things associated with high blood pressure. So he's starting to really, come around in his thinking about improving his blood pressure. But, when you're 39, you don't think anything bad is going to happen to you. Well, because of what happened to his brother, he's concerned too. So he's more likely to change his lifestyle now. Gail says, I like the extra factor. It gives good ideas that can be used or not. Please. Oh, she likes me being extra. Yeah. I can't help it. I'm kind of like that. I've always had to do stuff all the time. I'm not one to be relaxed. Like when everybody else is sitting around, I'm always looking for something to do. That's just my personality. I raised 4 children while I was working full time. And I kept so busy with all their activities, working. And I've always just been super busy. And I think that kind of keeps you young too, is, if you're active and you have a purpose in life, all those things are associated with long lived people. Could I replace the chocolate chips with golden raisins? Yes, of course. In the recipe, it gives you options. It says add a half cup of any nuts, walnuts, pecans, sunflower seeds, a fourth of a cup of dried fruit, or dark chocolate. So I picked the dark chocolate because I'm making other stuff that has the fruit. So this was just for something different. And see, this is really nice because it cleans the cutting board off well. But so now I have the nuts and the chocolate, and I'll show you what kind of chocolate I use as well in a second. Let me get this out of the way. So I order my chocolate from Stonewall, Texas, and I don't expect anybody else to do this, but it's a company called El Rey, and you'll see that in a lot of my cookbooks. I'll say El Rey chocolate. It's called Chocolates El Rey, and I don't have any affiliate link with them or anything, but I used to get El Rey chocolate in my local gourmet grocery store, and I really liked the El Rey chocolate, but then they quit carrying it. So one time I'm going to stir my steel cut oats a little bit. You can stir them about halfway through. So one time I was in Fredericksburg, where we like to go and visit. It's a beautiful place, and so we were in Fredericksburg, and I saw they had Chocolates El Rey, and I was like, wow, that's all they sell. So I went in and I bought some, chocolates from them. Dark chocolate is what I buy. It's 73.5%. And I was so impressed with the store. It had every kind of El Rey chocolate you could imagine. So they told me they'd ship them, but shipping is kind of expensive. So I try to go down there and get them, because sometimes we go down there to Fredericksburg and visit. So you can get them shipped, but they will charge you because chocolate will melt. So they have to they have to pack it. Okay, so somebody said, after you simmer the oats for 10 minutes, do you let them rest? No, Irene, I don't let them rest. I pretty much eat them pretty soon, but you could let them rest and they will plump up a little bit more. I did not bring my whisk in here. Let's see, I have one here. Okay, so the dry ingredients for the oatmeal cookies are 1 cup of flour. Remember, this is the holiday oatmeal cookies. 1 cup of rolled oats. These are the whole rolled oats, they're the whole ones, not the quick ones. 1/4 a cup of coconut. 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Get my 1/2 teaspoon. I kind of got prepared this morning because 1/2 teaspoon. My husband washed the dishes and did not put them back. 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. Because I have that next presentation at 11:15, so I was concerned that I wouldn't get everything done. And then just a little salt, 1/4 of a teaspoon, so very little salt. Let's see. Karen says, I consider your extras a blessing to us, mark of a good teacher. Stonewall lives down the road. I'll lift them up. Yeah, it's Chocolates El Rey in Stonewall. Great place. That brand has a low sodium version, but it's hard to find. Yeah, that's what I found. I've never seen it in the place where I go. I'll have to look for it, though. Okay, so we're going to remember we don't use a sifter. We just whisk everything together. And while you're whisking it, these are the dry ingredients, then you just kind of, smash it up a little bit. That just works well. Smash up any lumps of almond flour, because sometimes that gets clumpy. Okay, so we're just going to set this aside, and we're going to make our flax egg. So I keep my flaxseed in the little fridge here. Oh, there's my timer. Wow, that was fast. Okay, so before we'll get this, and then we'll move on to our serving of our steel cut oats. So I'm going to make the flax eggs, so we'll have it out of the way. 1 teaspoon of ground flax seeds mixed with 3 tablespoons of water. So I'm just going to add the water to this, and this will just sit here for a few minutes. And the reason I know how much to put in there is a 4 tablespoon container. Okay, so let's see, what do our steel cut oats look like. Put them on here, and then we'll stir it around. 10 o'clock, not bad. Got a lot done in 30 minutes. Okay, so the texture of them right now seems a little loose, but that's what you want because remember, it's kind of al dente. And as you eat it, it'll plump up even more. You mentioned miso nooch when you were making the salad bowl. Where did you buy it? That sounds good. Okay, here's the miso nooch. And it's in my Amazon store. It's in the bundle idea list. I just posted that. If it's not in there, it'll be in there today sometime. So just give your savory oats a nice stir to make sure they're all, you know, plumping up. And if you like them a little bit plumper, you can let them sit for a few minutes. But I usually don't. I usually like them just like this. And I'll put them in my bowl. And this, for Ann Esselstyn, I think she eats the whole pot. And she's small. But for me, I usually make 3 servings with it because, like I said, I eat other stuff for breakfast. So this is a generous serving here. And then I put the scallions on it. I don't put all of those scallions. And, you know, this is something that would be good with the miso nooch if you wanted a little sprinkle of that. That adds a little extra something. That makes it taste really good, but it tastes good without it. Or red pepper flakes is also a good addition. And then you will be so amazed at how delicious this is when you eat it. I love it. It has so many good flavors, and the steel cut oats are kind of chewy and they have a good texture. So I hate it when I go to I've been to bed and breakfast places and I've been to hotels with restaurants and stuff, and being plant-based, a lot of times there's very few choices. And so a lot of times they'll have steel cut oats as a choice. And then they bring it to you and it's like mush. It's all soft and slimy and overcooked and it has no taste. And, you know, I'm like, I can't eat this. I can't eat this. This is awful. I went to a really expensive, nice bed and breakfast in upstate New York. And the guy, they cook it all night in the slow cooker or something. And he brought me the steel cut oats and they were like that. They were just like slimy. And I said, oh, I can't eat that. I don't like those. And he said, that's our most popular breakfast dish for vegetarians. I said, I don't care. I don't like it. So anyway, mine is not mushy at all. You can see the little steel cut oats in it. It has little pieces of vegetables. It has the delicious umami from the shiitake mushrooms. You can taste the onions. You can taste everything in it. And you can leave out all the sodium if you want, and it'll still taste good. You can reduce it way down. Kathy Hester, you and Kathy Hester are my favorite people to watch cook. Thank you. Oh, yes, I meant to tell you what I do sometimes, and I didn't do it today, but remember, I eat my greens separately. I eat a bowl of greens. Is you can take a handful of your greens and put them in at the end, like after the 10 minutes, then mix in some greens because the greens will wilt and they'll be cooked plenty. If you put them in and cook them, they'll turn all, you know, kind of transparent. They won't be good. I don't like to overcook greens. So you can add greens. Also, if you read my recipe, it says that you can add corn, zucchini, yellow squash, or any other vegetable. So that way, if you want to make sure you get plenty of vegetables in that day, and you're going to be busy running around and you might not have time, you could throw in some corn, and you can even put beans in this. She puts greens. Kim says she puts greens in her savory oats. Yeah, it does taste really good. Also, I've put chickpeas in here, like a half a cup of chickpeas in here in the whole pot. And then you have the protein from the chickpeas. So you can make this as a dinner meal by adding some chickpeas to it. Then it becomes like what it reminds me of is risotto. Because as a chef, risotto was something that we made a lot of. So whenever I make this, it always makes me remember when we made risotto in culinary school. Upstate is not far from me. I'm in Montreal. That's great. It was a beautiful place. Yeah, we were there to go to, what's the name of that? I can't remember the name of it, the farm that rescues animals. We went to that, and then wanted to go to the farmer's market. There's a really famous farmer's market up in that area that we went to. I can't remember the names of all these places. I'll go back and think about it. Um, have not made my breakfast yet, so I'm going to give this a try. Great. If you've already got the bundle, then you have that recipe. It's the recipe for Tuesday on page 36. And see, if you look at it, it has my smoothie and it has my greens and the bowl of still cut oats. So it has everything. Bettina says, I have both your versions, both of your 21-day ebook, and like the new version very much. Thank you. Yeah, this new version, the difference is it gives you a meal plan. And my old ones, it kind of leaves it up to you to design your own meal plan, basically. Okay, so now we're going to finish our oatmeal cookies. Holiday oatmeal cookies. We don't need a knife. That's pretty good. We got that steel cut oat done in record time. It's all 30 minutes from when we started and it's already done. So it doesn't take that long. Would my Instant Pot overcook this recipe? Yes. Do not use your Instant Pot if you don't like mushy steel cut oats, because the Instant Pot will cook them to death. So that was Ann Esselstyn's secret, which I really admired about her, is that she was cooking the steel cut oats for 10 minutes. Wouldn't be hard for your digestion. No, Bettina, you can actually eat steel cut oats without cooking them, I heard from somebody recently. So it's not hard on your digestion, and it cooks them enough. Like, you'd be surprised. I'll show you in a couple minutes how much they absorb the hot liquid and keep cooking without being on the stove. In fact, right now even, you can see a difference in them just from sitting here for 5 minutes. I'll show you. Where they were kind of loose and runny, now they're real thick. So, they've become a lot plumper just in a couple minutes. So that's the thing, if you cook them until they appear done on the stove, by the time you eat them, they'll be overdone to me. But remember, I like the al dente type. Just like, risotto rice is a little bit al dente. And nobody complains about that. It has a little bit of chew to it. It doesn't have to be soft. Okay, I put almond butter in here. I'm putting the wet ingredients. So it was a 1/4 cup of almond butter. And it's just a crunchy almond butter that I get from the local grocery store. Nothing, unusual about it. It's just a normal almond butter. And I'm using a combination of date syrup and maple syrup, a 1/4 cup of each. It's actually in my recipe like this. Don't ask me why. I come up with my things that I do, but I do. You could use all date syrup, though. You don't ever have to use maple syrup. I think I did it because I was making them for the holidays and making a lot of them, and it was cheaper to use maple syrup than date syrup. Let's see, Lan says, I don't do nuts. What could I replace the nut butter with? Applesauce, apple butter. That's why I like to have apple butter around, because it has the same consistency of nut butter almost. So I would use the apple butter. And remember, if you attended last night, you can get organic apple butter that has no sugar added. And this was on Amazon. I've seen it in Whole Foods too. And I'll be sure and add that. That was one of the things I was going to be sure to add to my Amazon store. Okay, and then a 1/4 cup. Oh, I should have kept my measuring cup out. 1/4 cup of maple syrup. And be sure you get real maple syrup and not the maple flavored syrup. I look back on the kind of maple syrup we had when I was a kid, and it was always like imitation maple syrup, or the brands that my parents, I'm sure, couldn't afford real maple syrup. 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Okay. But yeah, there's a substitute for everything. I don't worry about stuff. I just think, okay, it could be any fruit. If it's nut butter, anything with that consistency. Tahini in place of almond butter. You could put tahini in there, but tahini makes things a little bit more savory. So I kind of caution people, if you use tahini, and I'm going to put the flaxseed in here. Yes, you can leave the coconut out. See, that kind of turns slimy like an egg, the flax meal. Yeah, you can leave out coconut. Coconut is just an extra, and it does not have to be in there, truthfully, and it'll be just fine. I liked it because, my other cookies didn't have coconut. So having one that has coconut was a nice change. So I just put in almond butter, flaxseed mixed with ground flaxseed mixed with water, almond butter, date syrup, maple syrup, half teaspoon of vanilla extract. That's my liquid ingredients. And then, the next step, I have my dry ingredients that I whisked up really well to combine them. And if you guys met my oldest daughter, you would think she's just like me, kind of. She is 47, about to be 48. And even though we don't look a lot alike, she has red hair and green eyes. She's very, very type A and kind of a super successful, driven person. And she gets a lot done, and everybody, counts on her to do stuff. So, but whenever I watch her do stuff, I always think, man, she's a lot like me. She's very intense and focused. I went to her place in Houston a couple of months ago, and she had me do a cooking class for her people at work. This is a half cup of walnuts. This is my little bit more than a fourth a cup of chopped up chocolate. So this is where you add your nuts and fruit. And so I did the cooking class for her job, and I told stories about her Japanese grandmother, my mother, and how my parents met right after World War II. And her people that she worked with were so fascinated by her life story that she never told them. So then after the thing, she said, Mom, I need to interview you and write all that stuff down. I just don't ever remember you telling me all that stuff. So it was a lot of fun, but she really is. The more I watch her, the more I think, oh my gosh, that poor girl. She got the intense gene or the personality from me, probably her father too, but a lot from me. Okay, so this is kind of a loose cookie dough. You'll see it. It's not, it's going to come together, but it's kind of a little bit loose right now. It's not very stiff, and that's what you want because it has a lot of liquidy things in there. But when it cooks, then it kind of becomes a really nice, moist, chewy cookie, which is what I was after with this cookie. And with this one, I'll get some of my junk out of the way here. I have my cookie sheet. And remember last night I told you about I order these sheet pan liners. I brought a bunch of them in here because I'm going to be making a lot of cookies over the next couple days, the next several days. So I wanted to have plenty of liners in here to not have to go back into my pantry and get them every time. Okay, let's see. Any questions? And then we have our choice of cookie scoops. We can use the small one. That's the one I used last night on the peanut butter cookies. By the way, my husband ate like 5 peanut butter cookies, and I ate 3 of them, which I didn't intend to eat, but they were so good. And then I put the rest of them in the freezer because I wanted to be able to show them when I go on Chef AJ's show later in the week. And if I left them out, he would eat them all. So that's 2 tablespoons. This one is 4 tablespoons. It's 1/4 of a cup. And so with this recipe, I made them big. So it doesn't make as many, but they're a lot bigger. So you put your scoop in and get a generous portion of this and then put it down on your lined cookie sheet, and then we'll take wet hands and we'll smash them down a little bit, but kind of pack them in good into your cookie scoop, because then they won't fall apart. If you just kind of lightly scoop them, then they might, come out. So I kind of mash them down a little bit so they're nice and tight in the cookie scoop. And then they come out like that. This one's a little too big, a little generous. All right. Any questions? Who's going to make these holiday oatmeal cookies soon? Anybody? And I'm only going to put 2 per row because they're going to spread out. They're going to be big. I got my oven preheating. And I'll go ahead and put this first pan in while I'm making the next. And so we're going to cook these. We're going to bake these at 350 degrees for, let's see, must be on the next page, no? Bake for 15 minutes at 350 and then cool for 5 minutes on the baking sheet before you put on a rack. In my recipe, it says cook on the baking sheet for 5 minutes. It's supposed to say cool. I just found that error a little while ago. Oh, here, wait. Almost forgot something. I'm going to use my wet hands and press them down a little bit. So use your wet hands and slightly wet, not too wet. Too wet, then you'll put water on your cookies. But you wet your hands because then they don't stick to the cookie dough. And then mash them down and shape them as you do that. And then in 15 minutes, we'll have some delicious cookies. We're not going to get them off the pan, though, because remember, we have to let them cool for 5 minutes. Okay, let's get them in the oven. 15 minutes. I'm going to get my cookie rack. I forgot it was in here because we washed it. I got to get more organized than this. Sorry. Remember this? We have to put the hot cookies on this, but wait 5 minutes before you put them on this. So let me get the last cookie sheet and then I'll answer any questions. I'm doing really good on time. I was kind of worried. Doran says, my family will be happy that you are making live videos because it motivates me to try your recipes. Thank you. Hey, Terry Malnar, good morning. That was from Doran. Thanks for the great demos. I look forward to them. From Carrie. Thank you. I'm glad that people will watch my cooking demos. It's something I haven't done in a long time, so I'm kind of rusty, but, I'm doing the best I can. And I figure, I'm doing the things I like doing, and if anybody wants to watch me do them, great. If not, it really doesn't matter because, I don't need to please everybody. There's always going to be somebody. This one's a little short. There's always going to be somebody who isn't pleased. So Claudia says, I've tried your version of breakfast, but I can't eat that much food in one sitting. Do you have a raw cookie recipe? Well, actually, I do have something we're going to make later in the week. I eat a lot, okay? So remember, I get up and walk for 90 minutes first thing in the morning, and then I'll go lift weights for an hour at the gym a couple days a week. And then I'm always running around. So I guess my body burns fuel very well because I'm able to eat quite a bit of food and maintain my weight. So that's a good thing. But I understand that not everybody wants to eat as much as I do. Okay, so I'm going to wet my hands just one time and get the cookie smashed down. So yeah, you can eat the risotto or the savory oatmeal for dinner. You don't have to make that for breakfast. That makes a really delicious dinner. You could eat it with a big salad, put it in a bowl, kind of like a soup. Somebody said, you're doing great. That's from Allison. Doran said, you're doing well. Much appreciated. Your recipes are the best vegan recipes. Well, thank you. Plant-powered peddler Janet I'm walking now after I just worked out. Great. That's wonderful. Walking is the best exercise. Hi, Toshi. Well, come say hi. Come here, buddy. Come say hi to everybody. Come here, boy. Come on. Come here. Come. Okay, take your time. Come on. Come on. Come here. Come say hi. You don't want to? Okay, never mind. He's being shy. He's a good boy. Okay, we'll put those in later. So, in the meantime, the steel cut oatmeal, now look how thick it is. Like it's super absorbed and very thick. So if you don't like it as loose, I don't like to call it runny because that sounds kind of gross. If you don't like it as loose as I like it, because I like to eat it right away, then just let it sit in the pan for a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, and then it'll be a lot more absorbed. And it will be easier to eat because it will be cooler. Because right now, see, look, it's really thick. And so if I take a bite now, it's not going to burn my tongue. Ooh, it's kind of spicy. But it really tastes good. So what I do when I make this is, like I said, for me, it's 3 servings. And I have some containers that I just fill 3 containers with it. And then, they're Rubbermaid containers. They're plastic. I'm trying to switch over to all glass containers. So, you just get 3 small containers, like 2-cup size containers. Put the 3 servings of savory oats in there. And then what I do is I keep 2 in the fridge because I'll eat it 2 days in a row usually because I like it so much. And I'll put the 3rd one in the freezer. And then I always have it there for a day when I don't have time to cook breakfast or I have a craving for it for dinner. Oh, plant-powered peddler Janet. That must be Janet Ricky. She's having me on her show Tuesday at 1:30. So Janet, can you put the link to our show in the comments so people can can find it? And I'm going to put the bundle link in there. Bettina says, just a suggestion, as you go through your already published ebooks, you'll find some changes to be made. Perhaps you can create an extra sheet to add to your website with the titles, page numbers, and changes. That's a good point, Bettina. That would require me to do a lot of extra work, though. And I'm not sure that I have the energy to do that right now, but one day I will do that. But that is a good idea. I probably should have done that a long time ago because I forget which things need to be changed. I'm getting one more thing. So yeah, that is a great idea because I have, the thing is, it could be a little overwhelming because I have a lot of ebooks now. I think I have 9, maybe 10. I don't know. It's kind of overwhelming. What I'd really like to do is have a cookbook, like one real cookbook with all the collections of recipes professionally made by a publisher. So I'm thinking about doing that, but again, that's a project. Okay, so Marilyn, I don't know what's going on with my broadcast is starting to flash. There must be some instability in my connection. Are you guys seeing this flashing? I'm sorry, I don't know what the thing is. Okay, Bettina says this version of steel cut oats will be my lunch today. I think you'll really like it. And, one thing I would probably do now differently is I have really greatly reduced the sodium in the way I eat. So I would probably cut the sodium back a little bit more, like maybe put less tamari, less, have a lower sodium vegetable broth or even no sodium because my taste buds have changed. And when I eat this now, it tastes almost a little too salty to me. So when I first started eating this way, I needed to eat this amount of sodium to stick with it. because otherwise everything seemed kind of bland. So now that I've been doing it longer, and cutting down and cutting down and cutting down on sodium for my blood pressure, then now I don't seem to need quite as much sodium or soy sauce or salt or whatever. I'm probably at the point where I could leave it off totally and then maybe just sprinkle a little miso nooch on top, which has, for 1 teaspoon, 38 milligrams of sodium. So it's a very small amount. So, as opposed to a teaspoon of salt, which has over 2,000. So a little bit of that. And then, I know there are a bunch of products out there that are salt-free seasonings, and I've tried a lot of them, but I don't really like it that much. Okay, it quit flashing, so whatever it was is better now. So I'm open to questions. We have about 5 more minutes before the cookies are done, and I really want you to see the final cookies. I can give you a little heads up on some of my upcoming demonstrations so that you can put them on your calendar. Patricia says, I got the miso nooch and I really like it. It has a really strong taste. It's really pretty good. So my demos were both, right now, the cookies and the oatmeal, because I have to take my dog to obedience class tonight, so I can't do a nighttime one. And then tomorrow in the morning, I don't understand this flashing. I can't really do anything about it either. The only thing I could do is I could unplug my landline, whatchamacallit, cable, and then replug it in, but then I might lose this whole connection, so I'm not going to do that. We'll be done in a minute. Okay, so Wednesday I'm making Tuesday I'm making nori spring rolls in the morning. Those are really good, and what's nice about the nori spring rolls is they don't fall apart when you cut them. Let's see if I can find a picture. Because the classic spring rolls, when you cut them, they kind of fall apart and they lose shape. And so then they can be hard to deal with. See how they stay together because the nori sheet kind of binds them together better. So I like them because they're very portable like that. They don't fall apart. They're a lot more stable. So we're making those tomorrow morning. And then in the evening at 6 o'clock, I'm making almond cookies. But remember, I'm going to be on with Janet Ricky. I don't know if she posted her link or not. Gail says, can the regular old-fashioned oats be used in place of the steel-cut oats? Or what would need to be changed? This recipe is not really meant for steel-cut oats, for regular whole oats. I think that if you were to do this, you would have to experiment with it and see if you like it. I think the rolled oats would be a little bit too soft, but there's no reason why you couldn't make it and call it Savory rolled oats. It's worth a try. I've never tried it, but you could try it. That's the only way you're going to know is to test it. So tomorrow at 1:30 is my cooking demo, or it's not a cooking demo, it's a discussion with Janet Ricky, the plant-based peddler, I think she called herself. Lydia says, I was so happy to see you were part of the bundle again this year. I love Bundle Week. Oh, thank you, Lydia. I thought somebody told me that people were tired of bundles and they didn't even want to see any bundle promotions. And I thought, oh, well, I'm still going to promote the bundle because that's what I do. And, then I thought, when I looked at the bundle, I thought it's got a lot of really good stuff. And for a really good price. I think it's very budget-minded to think that you can get stuff that I paid full price for. A month ago or 2 months ago, I bought Broccoli Mom's weight loss ebook, which has got like 100 recipes. I paid $31 for it. And there are other authors in this whole list that I've bought stuff from before. And including my ebooks, together I think they would cost $50. So, I think if you just wanted my 2 ebooks and then you got 80 others, great. You find something out of those 80 other books, courses, videos. There's all kinds of good stuff. Kathy Hester has a a course on making pizza, and she's using gluten-free pizza crust, which I think is great. Okay, Patricia says, the bundle forces me to branch out a bit, and I like that. That's good, yeah. Anytime you get new recipes from whoever, it's an opportunity to try things you haven't tried before. Okay, so then Wednesday I'm making chocolate oatmeal in the morning because I need to go shopping. So I'm making chocolate oatmeal in the morning, then I'm going to go to the store and stock up on ingredients for the rest of the bundle week. And in the evening, I'm making carrot cake cookies. And then Thursday morning, I'm making chili. And in the evening, I'm making chocolate peanut butter bars. Friday, I'll be on Chef AJ at, I think it's at 1 o'clock Friday, for 30 minutes making Snickers date bars. And then in the evening, I'm going to make Tim Kaufman's curry quinoa burgers. And so that's the next few days. So I've got a plan for the entire, this is my extra doing. That's how many cooking demos I'm doing over the next few days. Every day I'm doing 2, except for today, but I did 2, but they're all at the same time. Okay, looks like we have less than a minute. So the quinoa curry burgers from Tim Kaufman look really good. And I make a similar burger called cashew quinoa burgers. And I haven't made those in a long time, but my favorite vegan diner in Fort Worth called Spiral Diner, they make a cashew quinoa burger. And whenever I go there, that's what I always have, and it's always delicious. So that's just a good, delicious combination of stuff. But the cashew quinoa burger is in my first ebook called Chef Julia's, or 50 Recipes in 50 Days. So does anybody watching have that? My first ebook, 50 Recipes in 50 Days. Anybody familiar with that? Okay, here we go. See how these turned out. And they do kind of expand. You see, they got big. Oops. They are nice sized and they smell delicious. And I can tell you that if my husband sees these, he's like the Cookie Monster. I'll be watching this afternoon, but might not be able to participate. I'll be babysitting my granddaughter. Well, the only other thing I'm doing today is at 11:15, I'm going to be on Dr. Shobha's show. So that's the last thing I'm doing today. Lydia has that book. All right, Lydia, great. So remember, wait 5 minutes before you take them off the cookie sheet, because that gives them time to set up a little bit. If you try to take them off now, they're very soft. So I'll show you. They're gonna work, but they'll be easier to take off if you wait the 5 minutes. A lot of times I'm impatient, but I've had that backfire on me because sometimes the cookies will fall apart. Just like, you remember the veggie burgers yesterday? I took it off the cookie sheet and it was still kind of hot. Well, a few minutes later, they were all very firm and nice. And my husband ate that for dinner and he said, "This tastes like a real burger. I love this." So that's from a person who still eats meat. Marilyn says, "Enjoy your demos and your recipes are delicious. I'll be buying the bundle and hope you continue these lives." Thank you. I plan to. Terry says, "I have that book and make so many of the recipes." Thank you, Terry. That was back in the day when I got started. I'll put the bundle link up there again for you. I got started in 2020 because I couldn't have any more classes at my house because of COVID. And so I made a decision to go live every day and show you what I was cooking for dinner. Gail says, "I really prefer watching and listening to someone cooking. It's like I'm cooking along in the same kitchen. The only thing I learned to cook growing up was cookies." Oh, well, good. I'm happy to hear why somebody likes to watch cooking videos. The cookies are coming off really well. I like watching people. So like I would watch Chef AJ's show and I would see people on there that I liked. Like there was a woman on there called Heather, and she had butterfly effect plant-based something. And I would watch her videos all the time just because I liked her. I liked her face. I liked her voice. And it didn't matter what she was making. Like she would make, instant pot vegetables to take to work or things that I don't really like. But I just liked watching her and interacting with her. I just thought she was really nice. So, if I find somebody that I like, I'll just watch them because I like what they're doing, whatever it is. Okay, I'm going to put my last batch of cookies in the oven. And 15 minutes was the perfect amount of time. Oh, well, that messed up. Bake 15. Okay, sometimes my oven's a little weird. All right, so these cookies are going to be fabulous to eat. See how big they are? They're not dainty little cookies. They're like jumbo-sized cookies. And like one cookie would be breakfast if you were going to eat it for breakfast because it has oatmeal, remember? So that's your oatmeal for breakfast. But I don't usually eat cookies for breakfast. Can you link your menu for the week so that we can cook along with you? I have the Google and recipes. I will try to do that. Maybe I can just post the document on my chef page and you can see it. I'll figure out a way to do it. I'm not really good at some of this technology, but I'll try. Okay, Angie said, made burgers last night too. My meat eater husband loved them too. Can't wait to double batch and freeze for camping season. Thank you, Angie. So anyway, for during COVID, I went live every day for 50 days. And I made all the things that I like to make, all the plant-based things I like to make. And all these people that never heard of me before, like Terry Malnar and Lydia or whoever, they started watching me. And my videos were so bad. Like all I had was my tripod and I had the vertical iPhone and I didn't have good lighting, anything. And I look back on those videos and they were not very good, but I didn't really know what to do. I was just going live on Facebook. And so, anyway, a lot of people that now follow me, that's where they met me, was on these daily Facebook Lives during the middle of COVID, starting in March 17th, 2020, until May 5th, 2020. I did a video every day. And then I wrote an ebook called 50 Recipes in 50 Days of Facebook Live or whatever. Okay, let's see. Sometimes a recipe can look overwhelming and it helps to watch and see it prepared. That's what Kim says. That's why I, feel like making the recipes for you, because to me, the things I make are easy because I make them all the time. And, I'm in my kitchen a lot and I went to culinary school, whatever. So I don't think anything of making savory oats or breakfast or oatmeal cookies or muffins or ham or veggie burgers. All that stuff to me is like, I don't really think about it. So for people who aren't in the kitchen all the time or don't have a big history of cooking, maybe the idea of making, these holiday oatmeal cookies could be a little overwhelming. Like, what is all that stuff? But you saw it didn't take me long to make it. It's only 10:30. We've had in an hour, I've made 2 full recipes. And here's the cookie. I'll taste it. Always good. As good as I remember. I'll eat the rest of that later. And I'm going to sign off because my screen's flashing again. I hope it doesn't do that later. But also I have to get cleaned up because I'm going on this other show in a few minutes. So I need to clean up my big mess in here before I go live with Dr. Shobha. So remember, go to my Chef Julia page on Facebook and I put the link to her YouTube channel. But if you don't want to do that and you don't remember that, her YouTube channel is called Gift of Health. So just go to YouTube and search for Gift of Health. And her name is Dr. Shobha, Shobha. And make some cookies. Enjoy your cookies. They're so delicious. And enjoy your savory oatmeal. I think if you make it, You'll love it. I sure do. And if you add something to it, send me a message and tell me what you did to make it different for yourself. Okay, bye everybody. I will catch you tomorrow, probably at 10 o'clock, to make chocolate oatmeal. All right, I'm going to close this out while it's flashing. Bye bye.